Okay, welcome back to another Holy Overbooking stream. Holy Overbooking, and today we are gonna be doing how do you build every single Erudition unit in 2025. Today we do have ourselves Erudition class, right? The flavor of the patch. MiHoYo's God's favorite child right now, the Erudition class, as well as the the Remembrance class, the HP scaling DPS. So we do have ourselves, Anaxa, Herta, Qingque, Argenti, Himeko, Jing Yuan, Jade, Rappa, Herta, as well as the Val. Let's just jump straight into Herta right now. So this is going to be my Herta build. 3.9k attack, 118 speed, 79% crit rate, and 161.4 crit damage, right? So the specific build path that I've decided for the Herta is going to be running the 2-piece Izumo, which does in fact places our crit rate right at the 91.4% crit rate territory. And the moment I slap on a Mimi, or if I want to run her with a Sunday, then we can get this to 100% crit rate, right? Other than that, if you do not want to run Mimi or Sunday, you want to stick with, for example, Babin or Tribi without any external crit rate, then you can actually keep this up to be a little bit higher. Crit rate would be preferred, but unfortunately I don't really have it. So ideally you do always want to make sure that your crit DPS is going to be hitting at a 100% crit rate. So the speed for this is actually extremely specific, and actually I'm going to use this example. The reason why we have 118 speed is because 118 is the magical number that after casting a single DDD, you are able to get yourselves 2 actions within a single turn, right? So I'm just going to do this as a quick little demonstration. So we're just gonna slam this on right here, right now. So 118 speed after DDD, S5 DDD. Anyway, it's gonna give you exactly 134 in combat. So if you were to go into battle right now, you can take a look at the action video bar right here. Alright, we are going to be beginning at a 28 action value, right? We're just going to let this play out a little bit more. We're going to get hit, all the kind of stuff. Very good, very nice. Punch stream in the face. Boom. Alright, get a girl, no reaction. Anaxa just stands there unfazed. Just do the little boom over here. Alright, and now you can see that the Herta at this current juncture, we are going to be outside of the very first action value wave because we do not have enough since she does only have 118 speed, right? But because we have the power of DDD, immediately after her action, we cast this, we do in fact push her right at the edge of 134 speed, allowing us to gain the second action within 1 wave. So 118 speed is the absolute bare minimum you want if you are gonna be running DDD. If you are not gonna be running DDD, then you do want to make sure that she hits the 134 speed in combat. But because we are gonna be running DDD, I have the luxury of running the attack percentage boost, which can increase my damage by quite a significant chunk, right? So other than that, that's pretty much it for the speed tuning portions. Crit rate just get it to 100%. Light cone, if you do not want to run this, you can technically just run any of the alternatives. You can run before the galaxy begins. The Herta store light cone, they're all very good. You can even run a Anaxa light cone if you really wanted to, right? This is actually honestly not that bad. Between these two, they're honestly very interchangeable. Some even say that, main DPS Anaxa could even rival main DPS Herta, but that's going to be up to you to decide. So that's pretty much it. I would say that this light cone is going to be very nice, especially with that 1 skill point generation, since you could now allocate even more skill points onto Anaxa himself, right? So that is pretty much it. Max out all your tracers. You can ignore the basic attack, doesn't matter that much. This 2-piece in the middle, if you do not want to run Izumo, you can run a Rusian Arena because most of the damage from her is going to be coming from her enhanced skill, right? And then for the outside 4-piece, this is pretty much going to best in slot, so don't really have too much to talk about. And for the Eidolons, if you have no morals, this E2 is pretty much, I would say, second strongest E2 for DPS right now, only to Casual's E2. Other than Casual's E2, no other DPS in version 3 can match Herta's E2 because this is just an absolutely insane amount of value on top of this in tandem with the E1, right? So that is pretty much it for a D Herta build. Getting this to 100% crit rate as well as at least 118 speed if you want to run DDD, otherwise 134, right? For the sphere over here, you can consider running a ice damage sphere depending on subsets, but it's not gonna be the most important here. Okay, next unit, Anaxa, since bro is already here. Oh, what the fuck happened to your crit rate? Hell nah. What the hell? Okay, yeah, I guess it's just something like that. Yeah, almost exactly the same as the Herta. You actually do want Anaxa, if you want to talk about the highest value from damage, to also be on Izumo if you are running him with the Herta. If you are not running him with the Herta, you want to run him as a main DPS, then Routine Arena is pretty much going to be your only option. You also still want to make sure your crit rate is going to be at 100% bare minimum, and the speed is going to be enough to outlap your Sunday, right? So you're going to be running a slower Sunday to an Anaxa, step on the DDD to be 134 effective, exactly the same. If you do not want to run with Sunday, this should also still be your bare minimum. Anaxa should always be in combat minimum 134 speed to gain the highest amount of damage within the very first wave, right? So for the relics, in terms of attack and wind damage sphere, is also very low difference. So whichever one you have the better subset of, you can just run them. For the attack percentage thingy, if you have a couple of speed rolls that you're needing, right, you can consider something like attack percentage with a little bit of speed just to help you hit that 134 speed if you're not going to be running him with any Danzanzans. So for example, if you run Tribute with the S1, you then need to change this into 138 speed in combat effective, right? So just to get a little bit of action, you can, however, consider changing out of attack percentage rope into energy regeneration rope. So these are for the players that did not pull for Anaxa Signature Lycon. If you do not pull for Anaxa Signature Lycon, you do unfortunately cannot guarantee a 2-turn ultimate, right? Because this additional 10 energy, the power of money, it allows them to get 70 energy first hit, 70 energy second hit, boom, guaranteed perfect 2-turn ultimate. If you do not have this, however, you definitely need the energy regeneration rope in order to guarantee us a 2-turn. Or you can go for the gamble, you can go for the RNG, get kills, get hit, then you can still technically squeeze out a 2-turn ultimate because you're basically missing 15 energy because it's going to be 125, 2 skills plus 5. Yeah, you're missing 15 energy. So if you can get a 15 energy from RNG, from getting hit, that's still going to be completely fine. So that is pretty much going to be that. For the items, me personally, I don't think Anaxa's items are going to be that worth it. The Lycon itself, I would say, is going to be more worth than the item one. I would say this is nothing too crazy. This is the only one that is like really interesting. 20% rest down for all enemies, but it's on an E2. And for the price of an E2 Anaxa, you could have gotten an E2 Herta. And if you would ask me, if you compare E2 Herta to E2 Anaxa, Herta is going to clear bro every single time. So if you want to talk about a vertical investment for a D Herta team, getting a E2 Herta, getting a E1 Trippy, they're always going to be more valuable than getting either a E1 Anaxa or a E2 Anaxa. Right? So for the Legendary Icon, this is probably higher value, but you do have yourself this Signature Icon over here, the Great Cosmic Enterprise. So if you want to run this is also going to be completely fine, but you do need to get the ER rope just to guarantee the 2-turn ultimate. So that's pretty much going to be that. Alternative build, I think I've already talked about this before, the 4-piece Eagle or the 4-piece Scholar, right? I think I've had a video, I think less than like 2 days ago. So feel free to check out that video if you want to see which one is going to be better for your account. Generally speaking, I do find myself preferring the 4-piece Scholar for myself, right? So that's that. Okay, cool. Alright, Qingque. So this is going to be the unit that made my Twitter career, right? This is a unit that made me in Bilibili as well, right? So I'm referring to this clip right here. The most watched clip of any content ever. Also the most watched clip on my clip channel, right? This is the I am the Qingque man. I mean, honestly, this is pretty much the exact same build that you could have seen from, you know, my Scylla, where I basically just joined it, 4-piece Quantum, 2-piece Routine Arena, slap it over. I would say that the crit rate is a little bit overcapped because I do intend to run it with Mimi, or you can run it with Sunday, then this crit is going to be a little bit overcapped. I would say that Mimi is going to be a little bit more straightforward. Then you can just change this into attack percentage boost, then you don't really need to care about the thingies that much, right? If you're not going to run in Mimi, then running the Sunday can a little bit more speed would be preferred for you. Signature Lycon, I feel like Jade is basically perfect for Qingque. Landing everything, crit rate, follow-up attack, ignore defense, everything on the wazoo, fantastic. 4-piece Quantum, completely fine as well. You can also do even more vertical investment with your E1 Tribi, with your, E1 Sunday, even more defense down from like E4 Tribi, right? So 4-piece Quantum is definitely going to be there. But I would say that, you know, Qingque mains, she does huge damage, right? But you just need to roll. Yep, that's pretty. I don't really have any other advice. Just roll better, right? Land all your auto keys, land all your 4 of a kind, land all your crits, and that's gonna be my course for Qingque. Unfortunately, if you don't hit your crits, if you can't have 100% crit rate, you're introducing so much fucking RNG in your account, it's gonna be so fucking miserable for you, right? So definitely hit 100% crit rate as much as you can. At least control the RNGs within your control. And then if gods give you a 4 of a kind, or if the gods give you auto key, that's up to the gods to decide, right? So that is pretty much it for Qingque. And for Qingque means. Next unit is going to be Argenti. Okay, Argenti Baby Herta, Baby Serval, these 3 units are the exact same. You build them the exact same in the form of the 4-piece eagle, right? So I'm gonna just slap on a 4-piece eagle example. So something like this. You will want this exact same build for all these 3 Erudition DPS because they are basically Herta simps. Right, they are all part of D Herta's army. You want them to support D Herta with a 4-piece eagle, 2-piece Luxaka, as much energy, as much speed value. They basically don't deal any damage themselves, and it is often not worth it to give them any sort of damage. You just want them to hit 200 speed effective in combat, slap on a Dun from 3B, and let them generate as much charge as possible for D Herta, or at least that used to be the case until Anaxa came out, and unfortunately Anaxa is just gonna be retiring all 3 of them simultaneously, right? So unfortunately, if you do not want to run them on the D Herta sim build, you can just go for the traditional, normal crit DPS for Argenti, for Herta. They can still work, but they do, in my opinion, pale in comparison compared to, for example, D Herta or even Anaxa himself, right? So other than that, if you want to use them, sure, but if you already put for these units, then there's not too much things to consider. If you do not put for Anaxa and you did not put for Jade, you can still go ahead and use any of these 3 units, slap on the 4-piece eagle, and then just make them generate as much stack as possible. So that's pretty much going to be the 3 of them. Nothing too crazy. The light guns are also going to be exactly the same. You don't care about the Singaporean, just run this. Passkey, right? All 3 of them run the exact same light cone. Passkey, energy. Just give them as much energy as possible. They are basically just there to support D Herta. And yep, that's pretty much it. Himeko. Himeko is honestly in a bit of an interesting spot, if I can say so myself. So, the history of Himeko has been like it's like my ex-girlfriend, right? Okay, the history of Himeko is basically she started off really bad, and then Pure Vision came out and she became really good, and then she ran out of winners and became really bad. And then Firefly came out and then she became really good because, Firefly with 5 winners implant, with Super Great Himeko, with the puppets, then she became really, really good. And now she's really, really bad again. Right, so her history just keeps going up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. As of this point, I would say she is probably not too good of a spot in this current moment. There are better units to use. There are D Herta, there are your HP's current DPS. So she's not really that crazy of a spot. I would say between both builds of crit DPS Himeko as well as break DPS Himeko, it really depends on the environment in which you're using her in. So for example, if you're up against a member of Chaos that's gonna be the puppet trio, break DPS Himeko is absolutely fucking disgusting. You deal so much damage with Fugue plus Rame and HMZ. She deals ridiculous toughness bar. Stack on the breaks simultaneously side by side, and she would be dealing really good damage, right? So even by Pride Win standards, you should have an S5 DDD, right? So that ain't my business. So it is what it is, right? Even by Pride Win standards, you get an S5 DDD. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Wait, this looks like a... Oh my god! The 1% what the f? Oh my god, she's broken! I don't know what the fuck happened! We are infinite follow-ups! Oh my god. Into another follow-up. Oh my god, into another follow-up. Bro, she's broken! Oh my god, she's actually broken. Other than that, I must be real, I can't really recall a time where I would rather run a crit DPS Himeko, because if I were to run a crit DPS Himeko, I could just go back into D Herta or Anaxa, or even the Sims, like the Herta Sims, the 4-star units, instead of just running crit DPS Himeko. So I feel that nowadays her role is the niche scenario where you can use her against the puppet trio or the dinosaur boss, right? The TV dinosaur boss, to break the enemies and deal tremendous toughness bar damage to just do super, right? So me personally, if you have a Firefly build, so if you have a Firefly, something like this, slap it onto your super Himeko, and then it's gonna be completely fine, right? So that is pretty much it for Himeko. Light cones, nothing too crazy. Basically, if you want to build her as a break DPS, right? If you want to build as a break DPS, you can just run any of the, I guess, Rappa, because this is really the only one with any sort of energy. Could run this as well, but everything else is just not going to be that important. I would say that for Himeko. Oh shit, damn, this changes everything. Holy shit, this changes everything. Now I gain 1 extra. Yeah, I would say that E4 Himeko is actually one of the most important items, because you can cycle through your breaks a little bit faster, right? But other than that, unfortunately, you can't gain overcharge, because she will be capped at 3 out of 3, unlike Jade. So if you were to break an elite, this changes nothing. So this is only for like the mobs, right? So it is what it is. But yeah, Super Himeko, that's pretty much going to be it. Oh! Huang Guilin. Now, unfortunately, I do not have his best in slot. I don't farm the follow-up. I don't farm Grand Duke, right? Unfortunately, I do not farm it. So this Jing Yuan is cooked, right? You do want to run the 4-piece Grand Duke, 2-piece Sao Soto, or I mean, you want to run 2-piece Duran, but that is gonna be Jing Yuan's best in slot. Even till this day, Grand Duke is still bro's best in slot, right? Additionally, you do want to hit yourself, you know, I said it like a billion times by now, 134 speed in combat. He has to be run with Sunday. Has to be. There's no exception. There's no rule. There's no does he need Aircron? Does he need Jiao Qiu? Nope. Has to be Sunday, right? So Sunday slap on Jing Yuan, faster Jing Yuan, slower Sunday. This crit can be at 70% because he gets a built-in 10% crit rate from this trace over here, and then Sunday gives him a 20%. Then that is gonna be 100% crit rate. Then as much crit damage as humanly possible. That's pretty much it, right? Then damage, slam and damage, signature light cone, idolins. I'm gonna keep it about none of the early game DPS idolins mean a thing at all, right? It's just not worth it. So you're better off vertically investing into supports and then just getting the value from there. So yep, really just not too much to say. So that's gonna be Jing Yuan, right? Boom, done. Okay, Jade and Rappa, our last two units. Okay, for Jade herself, this build is gonna be a little bit more unique in the sense where I basically went for the 4-piece poet build as well as the 2-piece Duran, because I realized that Jade can actually be slow enough just to hit the 95 speed threshold. So she does in fact gain the 32% crit rate from the 4-piece poet, and she also gains the 10% quantum damage. So I'm like, okay, you know what, might as well, right? So I do get myself, I believe this is 101.9% crit rate into 145 crit damage, but the crit damage from Jade actually scales up by a lot because of this stacking crit damage rate up to, I believe this, yeah, 70% crit damage. So a very, very decent chunk. Don't really have, we just make sure that she's on 100% crit rate. The speed also doesn't matter because she's just there to chill, right? Give your DPS, namely D Herta, collector, right, the deck collector buff, generate your stacks. You can also run her with Lingsha. You can run her with like any of the remembrance units. You can give it to fucking Tribi. As long as they damage a lot of units, she can generate a lot of stacks, and you can see some ridiculous Jade showcases nowadays in Memory of Chaos, and in Pure Vision she has always been a beast. So getting 100% crit rate, no speed, slap on attack and crit damage is going to be completely fine. Energy regeneration rope is not going to be required, right? I personally run off 2-piece to run. Other than that, you can also run Sao Soto if you want to, but that is pretty much it. I would say that the E1 is not going to be that crazy nowadays because all of the enemies we basically get the maximum value, but if we're going to be going back into a single target environment again, we might see the Jade's weaknesses coming out, because Jade on release, she was not that good, right? Because the Memory of Chaos environment, it was still like single target. So in Memory of Chaos, at E0, not that good, but at E1, it kind of just faces a problem. For the signature light cone, you can run this, but there are honestly a lot of different Erudition signature. You can Herta, all that kind of stuff. So just choose something that you like. I would say, me personally, this is technically cheaper, and since this works with Qingque exceptionally well, I'm just gonna be slamming this, right? So you can run like Jade Herta, Jade Lingsha, Jade Anaxa, Jade Tribi. Very versatile unit so far from what we have seen, right? So that is pretty much gonna be Jade, and this brings us to the final Erudition and also the final super break DPS, Rappa. Basically exactly the same as your Firefly and Boot Hill. Give them speed. Don't need to give a damn about crit rate for Rappa. A little bit of attack, right? Slam on this. Exact same as Firefly. Break effect main stat. Attack a little bit over here, right? That's pretty much it, right? As long as your main stats are fine, and if you can join the 300 club, which I am very far away from because, you know, it is what it is, right? Then you are gonna be rocking a very good Rappa. But Rappa herself just doesn't gain that much break effect in the first place. It is gonna be a little bit far. But I feel that out of the 3 super break DPS, I'm not saying that she's the strongest, but she's my favorite to play. Right, she's my favorite to play. Very satisfying, right? Random refuge, exceptional damage, exceptional showcase. Yep. So that is pretty much it. Also, very similar idle ones to Bullet and Firefly, right? It's gonna be a defense ignore, and then this gives you a little bit of energy to connect the dots, so that you don't really have that big of an ultimate downtime. Because Rappa's damage, they're gonna be coming mainly from the ultimate. So if you don't have an ultimate, she does absolutely 0 damage, right? So you want to make sure that she's here almost 100% of the entire time, right? So okay, with that, I am gonna come to the end of how do you build every single Erudition unit in Honkai Starbucks in 2025. Word of the day is gonna be brain rot. Join Twitch, join Discord, join Twitter. All the best. I'm gonna see you guys next time. Take care.